This is All Things Fitness and Wellness, uniting industry thought leaders and fitfluencers on the mission to inspire innovation and encourage people to live a life fit and well. Brought to you by Fitness World, your fitness, your way. Visit fitnessworld.ca. Many children grow up with the dream of being a firefighter. But the reality is, if that's the career path you follow in adulthood, it is highly physically demanding. Today, we're going to be hearing from two Vancouver firefighters who have done tremendous work within our community. And not only do they challenge their bodies and minds on the job regularly, they've taken it that extra step by taking part in the Hall of Flame calendar. This is one of the longest running and highest ranked firefighter calendars in the world. We're going to be hearing all about their behind the scenes journey to get ready for photo shoot day and what it has meant to give back to the community in this way. Before we get to it, be sure to hit like and subscribe. We have new episodes of the ATFW Industry Series every Monday and the Celebrity Series every Wednesday. This is ATFW. I am so stoked because when we talk about the Celebrity Series, I have two individuals here that are parts of tremendous teams in our community that give back day in, day out in this most incredible, inspirational way. So I have Brandon and Joanne here speaking on behalf of the Hall of Flame calendar. First of all, thank you for carving out the time and space in your busy schedules.
Of course.
Yeah, thank you for having us.
Oh, we're so excited because I have followed the Hall of Flame. Takes place in Vancouver. You're now in your 34th year?
Yeah.
Yes.
Like that. Yeah.
And literally you have firefighters taking time out of their daily busy live schedules, volunteering their efforts to shape this incredible physicality to pose for a calendar and raise money that goes to tremendous causes. So kudos, first of all.
Thank you.
Thank you. Yep.
A lot of effort, but I want to dive into the heart of the firefighters I have here in front of me because I know this is a career path that you may have dreamt of, but don't stumble into. It is a lot of work. So Brandon, I'll start with yourself. At what point in your life did you realize that this was a career path you wanted to pursue?
I think it started pretty young. I was like as tall as my knees are now. It was something I always wanted to do. Mom used to dress us up as firefighters, give us a vacuum hose, and we would run around putting fires out. And I think ever since then, that's one of the things I always wanted to do. So I was lucky. I'm one of those people that knew what I wanted to do from the beginning, did everything I could to get to that spot. So it was a long road, but at the end of the day, it's one of those things that I just always knew I wanted to do, and I don't know what else I would do if I couldn't do this. So yeah, it was a perfect fit for me. So.
Wow, good for you from following from the get-go. How about you, Joanne?
I always knew I wanted to do something, whether it was in the police force, firefighting. Those were like my top two things as a kid growing up that I really wanted to do. But honestly, got a little distracted from the firefighting goal. Probably in my early 20s, I went into the ambulance service first. And then I thought, I still really want to do it. So I started volunteering with the fire department and then realized, wow, no, still going to make the full-time career choice to change over.
What was that point in your volunteering path that made you realize that was the route you wanted to transition into? Because it's not easy when we have those epiphanies being like, actually, I want to change the script here.
Yeah, you know what? It was working in the fire hall alongside the career guys, the camaraderie, it was everything. It was just a totally different dynamic and something I really felt I fit in way more than I did with my other role. So just a matter of changing over, and it took a little while. It took a good couple of years before I got all the training down and started applying. But so a little bit of a late switch for me. I didn't get on until my early 30s.
I love stories like that, though, because it really does prove, obviously with a lot of work in between, that at any point in life, you can change your mind, which is always the scariest thought when we do that. But you put the work in and it is 1,000% possible. So, Brandon, speak to going through training. Let's explain this to people because it's not like, oh, I want to be a firefighter and it happens.
Yeah, I think the biggest misconception is that when people ask us, like, how do you become a firefighter? I think the biggest thing is that there's no one class you can take to become a firefighter. You have to take driving courses, first aid courses. I did my Bronze Cross and Bronze Medallion swimming courses. You volunteer, and I started as a volunteer in Maple Ridge Fire Department. I did like a youth academy there, and then when I got out of high school, I did volunteers there as a paid on call, and that sort of stuff. There's a lot that goes into it. once you actually get into the training part, that's the part that's almost seems a little bit easier because it's physical. You know your job. You just have to do your job. It's grueling. It's long hours. When I did my training in Maple Ridge, it was weekends, evenings, and you're going to calls throughout that. And then when I got hired in Vancouver, it's a 6 or 8 week program now. It was 5 weeks when I did it, Monday to Friday, and you learn everything from catching hydrants to medicals to putting fires out, ladders, all that sort of stuff. And you're critiqued through everything. And by the end of the 5 weeks, you hopefully come into the fire hall as this fresh, smiling face and ready to do whatever you're told to do. So yeah, it's a lot of physical stuff to it, but a lot of mental too. And it's just an all around tough thing, but worth it in the end. So.
And Joanne, how about your experience going through the training? What was that like?
Yeah, I guess it started in the volunteer department. It is physical, and someone who's not big, you really have to put the effort in to get strong, but also to learn what works for you, what works for your body, and to be able to do things. But yeah, just taking all the extra courses, like Brandon was saying. I mean, I remember being the oldest person in a bronze medallion class.
Yeah, same.
They were all like 12.
That's good for you, though, because all I have on me is a mean doggy paddle, and that's not going to help anybody.
Yeah, so apart from like going and getting your 1001 certificate, which is your basic training, you're going to need that to apply. On top of that, though, taking things like high angle courses or whatever you can get your hands on, really. You're just kind of trying to stack your resume and trying to come prepared.
Definitely.
You want to come to the table with something.
No, that 100% makes sense because I'm sure it's competitive as well when you're working to get into the halls there. Let's talk about the physicality, which I know this is hybrid and so much mental as well, but what did you have to do in the training? Like, what was the physical training like? Because I've heard some things. I'm curious.
Yeah, I think the hardest part is the mechanics of what your body can do. So one of the things that you have to do for just the physical assessment, that's like a super clean cut, everyone has to do the exact physical assessment, is you have to drag a dummy that's about 180 pounds and it's dead weight. So it's not helping you. It's not your flailing arms and legs that you're trying to keep against your body. And there's a lot of the mental side of it, trying to think of what the best way to do it is, right? So I was the same when I started. I was like 6'3", 165 pounds, soaking wet, and I had to do the same thing, trying to think of the best way to do this because I might not be as strong as someone who's going to be 250 and maybe 6 feet, right? So there's stuff like that, and same with like techniques and stuff, and how you learn that by doing the training before you start. So.
And how did you train for that, Joanne? I'm sure even outside of training in the training, you have to train for the training.
Yeah. Well, you had a very clear-cut expectation of what was expected for you for that test. So you knew exactly what you had to do. And Vancouver actually offered, at the time I got on, they were offering tryouts for it to come down and just practice it. So I did that. I went as far as taking one of the things you had to do, I think it's called the Kaiser sled.
Right. You use the sledgehammer.
You take a sledgehammer and you have to knock basically a heavy block between your legs. So I got a big tire at home, and I'd stand on it and I would wail on it with a sledgehammer,
right
bouncing myself around the driveway. And
the neighbors must have been like, "Oh, casual.
Yeah,
don't mess with Joanne."
Yeah.
But just all sorts of stuff to get ready for it. Like one of the things you had to do is you had to you load up with a bunch of weight, run up 4 flights of stairs, drop the weight at the top, reach out a window, and now you're pulling up what I think is probably 50 pounds
yeah.
Of a weight. And so learning the mechanics of what worked for me, was different than maybe what, like Brandon was saying, works for a different man or woman. Yeah. So, just a lot of practicing. And
technique. I mean, one of the things you have to do is raise a 35-foot ladder. So you have to take the ladder, push it against the building. You grab the...
By yourself?
Yep. It's called a halyard. And then you would pull on this rope, which raises the ladder. And you have to do it controlled, and then you have to drop it controlled. And if you try to hang on to it like you're holding onto a wide piece of hose or rope, it's not going to work. You have to twist your hands, and it locks it into your hands. And something as simple as the rope sliding through your hands a little bit fails you, and you're done. There's no more going back. You got to reset and try again next year. So that sort of stuff, again, practicing is huge. Knowing the technique is huge, and that stuff goes a long way, right?
Were both of you successful in your first attempts at it, or what was that journey like?
No.
I love that honesty, though, right? Like, these are the stories that motivate people to be like, try and try again.
Yeah. The first time with my application through Vancouver, no, I failed the physical. I dropped the dummy 20 feet at the finish line.
Oh,
And it was super.
how did you feel after that? You're right there.
Yeah, it was pretty upsetting, but it was more of an error on my part. Like, I knew I could do it. I had done it previous times in the practice, and just, you know what, it was just one of those things that happened. So what do? You go back and you train more. And I come back, 6 months later, and killed it.
It probably fueled that fire, so to speak, in you too, where you're like, I know I've got this.
If you're going to give up after one shot, then, that says a lot too. So you got to go back and just give her your best. Like after the first attempt, I picked up a lot of heavier weightlifting, CrossFit, big Olympic lifting. Moves like that really helped me. So when I came back, it was even easier and it looked better.
And were you both generally very active people prior to this? And if so, why and what did you get from incorporating physical activity in your life? What does it mean to you?
I think the biggest thing for me was like, I knew that if I'm going to do this job, this is what I would have to do. I refereed hockey, so we were on the ice skating around all day long, and refs, they end up skating for 60 minutes. They're not taking shifts. So you're always on the ice and you're chasing pucks around and stuff like that. So I always was doing 3 to 4 hours a week at least of that. And then doing the training and the firefighting stuff on the side. Right. So it's always been a part of my life. I think this calendar definitely brought in the weightlifting and the dieting stuff a little bit more hardcore, but yeah, leading up.
Just a touch, which we'll get to. How about you, Joanne? Did you always have a relationship? Was it the gym for you, or what was your journey into physical fitness?
Growing up, it was sports. Every sport I could play, I wanted to play. And most of it was in school, elementary school through high school. If I could be on a team, I was on it. It's funny because my parents and my brother, I didn't come from a family that was very athletic. So I think for me, that was just what I loved. So when it came out of high school isn't when I started going to the gym, because everything else kind of falls away. Maybe you're playing some beer league slow pitch or something like that. But I mean, for the most part, all of a sudden everything ended. And after high school, I was like, oh, where'd that 25 pounds come from? So that's when I started joining the gym. And then the gym became a big part of my life.
Do you get a lot mentally from the gym?
Huge. Yeah. I find it has saved me from a lot of things. I've gone through a few tough times, especially over the last year or two. And what I get from being able to exert myself in the gym is takes a lot of the mental stress away.
Fitness World's 16 British Columbia high-value, low-cost gyms are committed to helping people reach their fitness goals, whatever those may be. Exercise and movement play a pivotal role in supporting people's overall health and wellness, and it is Fitness World's mission to provide the facilities, services, and amenities to help you achieve your fitness your way. Visit fitnessworld.ca for more information. Yeah, it's one of the big things, even with this project, that I try and emphasize so much to people. And if you found us, you probably discovered this for yourself, but sometimes our relationship with exercise can kind of ebb and flow. And if it ebbs, you notice it because it is so important for our mental health. And it's the part that I think we should talk more about when we know we have such a mental health crisis right throughout our community. I don't think any soul after the last couple of years has not struggled in some capacity, whatever that looks like for you. And when we think about it, emotion is energy in motion. And so it's such a great way to kind of process and have it move through you. So I'm curious, as you get through the training and now all of a sudden you know that you're starting this career path, what's the community like in the fire hall? Because I imagine when you speak of playing on teams, it must be a huge team effort on the ground.
Definitely a team effort. And if you're not a team player, you really stick out. They really do try to, the hiring department really does look for team players. And I think it's really important because there's no time on a fire ground that I'm going to do something generally by myself. I'm always with a partner. I'm always with a group. I'm going to rely on Brandon. He's going to rely on me. And yeah. So it's,
no matter how big the part is, it still plays a role. So you have someone who's a chief who's in charge of logistics and planning and the big picture stuff, or you have a probationer who's trying to break a door down. And every part needs to flow properly, and there's a chain of command, and every job is important, no matter how big it is, right? But yeah, teamwork is the number one thing in all of this, right? So it's good in that sense where you keep each other accountable, you keep each other safe, you can kind of work through everything, right? That many hands make light work is totally true in the fire department for sure.
It is something so admirable, even when you see the truck go by or you pass a fire hall, and it's just knowing that I'm sure it's a family inside these units. And I think there's an important element that people need to recognize, and I won't make either of you have to speak too deeply on it unless you would like to, but the calls that you have to go out to, I find fire's normally first on scene to so much, and I imagine the community you need to get through the mental toll of a lot of what you experience, because it's not just showing up to a burning building at this point. We have many layered issues in our cities and in our homes that you have to face head on. How do you deal with the mental side of that?
I think the biggest thing now is that, like you said, the team thing and being able to come back. So with us, our job is kind of cool in the sense that we go where we're told, and we don't really know a general idea of what's going to be what's happening when we're there, but it's the small little moments that you find that you think about the most. And when you come back from a call and finally the life slows down and you drive back into the hall and you wash all your stuff and you clean everything off and you go back in service and you're ready for the next call, and everyone's sitting around the truck bay and cleaning something and talking about what happened there, what did you see here, what do you think of that? And you can see, like, you look at Joanne and you're like, oh, she's struggling with whatever that is. There's always someone that will pull her aside and talk to her. Or same with me, if there's some things that might bother me more than they bother her, and that's where, because we get to know each other so well and because it is such a good family, everyone always knows what's going on. And we have a subtle way. As firemen, they might have like this strong, tough exterior that's like nothing's going to break us. But there is some days that are terrible. And you come back and you just look at each other and you're like, what on earth did we just see? And why were we having to be there? And why did this happen to this person? But our job is to be there to help. And we appreciate that and we take it seriously, I think. And it matters to us a lot. And we do sort of wear our heart on our sleeves a little bit more than people think. But it's just when the truck bay closes and we can look at each other and talk and go for a wander around or do whatever we need to do. And yeah, it's good. It's good for that.
That's a beautiful way to put it. Like, that openness just must be so invaluable, especially when you are on the day-to-day not knowing what that day, there's no way to ask what's your typical day in the life.
No.
It can change every day.
It's an impossible question. Now, for the Hall of Flame, for those that aren't familiar, explain what takes place there.
No.
Miss September?
Yeah, Miss September.
Yeah, I mean, I've been on the job for over 10 years, and this was the first time I had a lot of interest in doing it, and I hadn't really even seen any of the behind the scenes stuff from the other calendars, so it was all really new this year. It's a huge production, really.
It is. I've been on site for one of the shoots.
You had hair and makeup people, and the camera guys and the background camera guys. So there's about 15 different people involved in making it happen. And then on the day, you're nervous. I was nervous. I was dehydrated.
Yeah. I've done fitness comps, so I understand where they're like, drink all the water. Now you can have no water.
Yes.
You're like, oh God.
Yes, all the waterboarding I felt like I did, and then to drink no water. So, it was hot outside. We're in our turnouts, probably a little dehydrated, which, everyone's trying to look their best. But it was a lot of fun. And, like the guys doing the background, the photographers, the Donna who was coordinating, they made it such a great day for me personally.
Yeah, I think the other thing too is you're walking around this huge, like we did the photography or all the photos at Park Casino and the JW Marriott in Vancouver there. Yeah. So there's so many different areas to take photos in. So we're walking from one end to the other, and we were in the casino, we were out on the pool, we were in the hotel rooms, we were down on the parkade, we were like all these places. So it was a lot of moving around, and it was 2 full days of photo shoots. And again, you haven't drank any water and you're trying to look your best. And Yeah, it's you think that you're going to show up and they're going to take a couple photos and off you go. And then by the end of the day, you're just...
you're like, I'm a model for these 2 full days. And then you realize there's a lot of work that goes into those big 2 full days. So speaking of that, what was your training experience like, especially kind of being the first time doing this particular avenue?
I think fitness-wise and what I was doing in the gym didn't change a lot. I think the previous year I'd really ramped up what I was doing in the gym, so I just tried to maintain that. I've never been a fan of cardio. Still not a fan of cardio. I mean, so I might have jumped on there a tiny bit, but realistically, no. So that didn't change a lot. Where I had to be a little bit more careful was my diet. I like food. And the fire hall has got a lot of really good meals and,
big
desserts.
Meals.
And so that was probably the hardest part. So what I did the last 2 weeks before is when I just kind of really watched my calorie intake. The couple days before, trying to get that water in, and then really just clean up the diet the last couple days. And then, of course, the no water the last 24 hours or so. Mentally, I don't think that helped me out on the day.
It's so true. Honestly, anyone that's, I think, competitors can definitely relate to that experience because it's a very similar process for getting, these are the goal dates. And I often remind people as well, and as a competitor, that when you see people that lean, generally, like, we're not at our optimum health in that moment. And I think it's really important to acknowledge that. People like the photos, love the photos, and it's incredible work and a show of discipline. But we know that's not how we live our regular lives. So important to acknowledge that.
A little softer.
Right? And as we should be. Like, that's healthy bodies, healthy minds, Like, no one's thinking straight after being that dehydrated off of water. But kudos, because it's such a sign of mental stamina. How was your training? Like, was this the first time you'd done it, or you've done a few trips?
Well, I've never done it before. And I honestly, it was a big step out for me. And I think the biggest thing for me that I struggle with was I'm a tall, slim guy. So I think the biggest thing that I had to remind myself is, like, I'm not going to look like what I think I should look like. I need to look like what my body's going to look like. I definitely buckled down and did I was one of those guys that if I go to the gym, I just want to get in and get out. And then I'm happy. But getting there is tough. And once I'm there, I'm really not pushing myself to the limits where I should be if I was going to do what I was going to do. So about 10, 12 weeks before the shoot, we were talking about it. And I'm like, yeah, you know what? I'll do it. So I had applied and I dug my heels in, and I got a trainer who was doing training. He gave me a meal plan. He gave me all the things I needed to do at the gym and how I was going to set myself up. And then the cutting at the end, which I think was a big thing that you have to remember when you do this. You actually are not in good physical condition. I am way more apt to fight fires on every Wednesday compared to that Wednesday because I was grouchy. You are dehydrated. You you drink all this water, and then you cut off your water. And by the time the end of the day, it's 28 hours later, and you just everything's just making you grouchy, right? So anyways, and then the diet thing was hard too. I love sweets. And I think what shocked me is the first day I started this diet, I was eating piles of food that were healthy. It was like chicken and broccoli and all these things. And I eat it, and 5 minutes later, I'm hungry again. And I remember messaging my trainer being like, how am I still hungry? He's like, because you're used to eating junk. You're used to eating stuff that's hard for your body to digest and all those things. And he said, give it a week and it'll go away. And sure enough, it did. And it's the other thing that's tough is watching your body change slowly. I think people think that, if I don't eat this cheeseburger today, tomorrow I'll lose this pound or whatever. And it sadly doesn't work like that. And especially putting on muscle for someone like me was really tough. So, but at the end of the day, I was happy. It's just, you had to really put your mind to it and have some sort of excitement behind it every time you go in there. Like, this is worth it. You can do it.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, and you both did. And I'm so proud of both of you because it's not like your regular lives stopped during this training. So how was navigating work and then allotting the time? Because exactly that. It wasn't your typical in and out of the gym, and your routine may have looked similar, but I know even prepping meals differently takes time. So how did you manage that? And at any point where you're like, am I crazy?
The whole time.
Yeah, well, like I was saying, for me, it was, I honestly didn't do a lot until the last 2 weeks. And then it was crunch time. And then, I was bringing in my own meals to the fire hall and getting ridiculed.
Because who normally cooks at the fire hall? Is that like a...
That is definitely a group team effort.
Awesome.
And that's one of the
best parts of the day. Yeah.
And that's when you're really coming together and you're noticing if something's maybe off with someone. So when it comes down to those kind of things, we're all laughing and joking around. And that's...
But you were the one with the Tupperware, and everyone's
Yeah,
like,
Oh, yeah.
got my chili.
Definitely there was a few shifts where I was bringing in my lunch kit of healthy stuff and being laughed at. And especially on the last night, I had to work the night before, and they made homemade pizza.
Oh, come on.
And they were going
Evil.
on about how good it was. And I was just like, I'm just going to eat my chicken breast and broccoli and yams right now and just hate all of you.
Yeah.
You're like, yum.
Yeah, exactly. 'Cause we're all sitting at the same table and I'm watching this all-you-can-eat buffet of pizza. And I was like...
I think that's the thing we forget too is like fire hall meals are not just like your everyday meal. They're big portions. They're really, really tasty. There's desserts always often included, sadly. And you sit there and you're like, come on. Like, this is just evil. I remember sat down on one of the last days too, and someone's sat down with a slice of tuxedo cake and a slice of tiramisu. And I looked at him and I'm like, you are so mean. So mean. I'm in the gym. Because like with us, we work 24-hour shifts in Vancouver. So, we do the 24 hours, and you usually get about an hour where you're not expected to work out, but you have the time to work out. And it's as long as no calls come in, you can get an hour through. So for me, it was like, hey, try and do the cardio first. Once that's done, then you, at least if there's a call that comes in, you can either come back to it or not. And there was always something. I'm working in Yaletown, so it's busy. And there's always interruptions, and you end up going on calls and you're all sweaty and people are looking at you like you're having a heart attack. But you're like, no, don't worry, I was just on the treadmill. It's okay.
You're like, it's fine.
Everything's fine.
But I'm so happy that you shared with us all the work that goes into the back, because the calendar year over year looks fantastic. And I'm glad you spoke to the incredible team, because I've seen behind the scenes and there's so much that comes together to bring this to reality. And at the end of the day, it's fun to talk about. It's fun to look at, but it is about the cause. So tell me a little bit about what the monies raised go towards and why that's important to you both.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing for us is like over the years, it's raised over $1 million. So that is an incredible accomplishment, right? It's one of the longest going firefighter calendars in the whole world. Yeah, it's cool. And I think the money that gets raised goes to programs like the Snack for Kids program and our own Vancouver Firefighters Charities programs that we do. And then also goes to the burn fund, right? Which helps burn survivors, and it helps families that are going through people that have been burnt and they're in the burn unit, right? So I think because of what we do for work, we see that stuff a lot. I mean, we had one of our own firefighters who got burned at home trying to put out a fire. And it's one of those things where it really hits home, and it matters a lot. And I think our own programs that Vancouver Firefighters Charities does together, we do it close to home, right? There's 1 in 5 kids in Vancouver that go hungry to school. So we do Snack for Kids, and we bring them food, and we do everything we can to sort of help them, and Lifelines for Seniors and all that sort of stuff, where Toys for Kids and all these things. It goes a long way, and I think we hold it close to our heart, right? We care and we want to give back, and this is one of the cool ways you get to do it, and you get a photo that's going to last the rest of your life, hopefully, and some motivation to stay in that.
Look what Dad did.
Yeah, exactly.
How about for yourself? How does it feel to give back in that way? Because it has, I mean, even hearing over $1 million, that's a tremendous impact. And especially when we know we're in a time of great need.
Yeah, anything we can do really to help give back feels good. But it's not just the money. It's the time too that the firefighters are putting in on their own time. Like, I know a lot of times the public might see us doing things with the trucks and when we're on duty, but there are tons of guys and women going in on their days off and doing things for Lifelines for Seniors, like where they're going and installing things, or the Snacks for Kids. It's all a volunteer basis. So together with the community coming together and buying the calendar, which of course is hugely important, and buy the calendar.
Yes, buy the calendar.
Of course.
You won't regret it.
Yeah.
I mean, great wall art.
Yeah.
But so together with that funds that we're raising and our time, it feels good to give back.
The last question I really want to know from you is, are we going to see you in calendar 2024?
Oh boy.
Probably not.
Yeah. It's so much work and it's so much effort that goes into it. And I think it's also nice to let other people have an opportunity to do it. And I think some fresh blood. Not everyone wants to look at us every year.
Nope.
So it's nice to have some fresh blood in there. And it's nice to have everyone else sort of like do their part. And there's a lot of things we get to do that is fun. Like things like this, right? Where you come in for a couple of hours and you get to put your time towards it, right? It's a lot of time, and I think next year it'll be nice to just watch everyone else do it and support them that way.
Yeah, coming back from COVID, this is the first year in several years that we've been able to do any of these events. So it's exciting.
Yeah, it is exciting.
And what's going to be the dessert you eat in front of your colleagues that are doing it next year? What was the meal that you had after to celebrate, first of all? We got to end on that.
Well, they did bring us some food into the room. So there was a lot of snacking at the end, but then I went out, I had pizza.
Nice.
It's so weird, but I had a quinoa salmon bowl because I think I was just so scared to eat like fast food again. So I was trying to ease my way into it. I'm like, you don't even need to put the dressing on the side. Just put it right on top. I'll be happy with that.
Living on the edge with the dressing.
Exactly.
Love it.
I ate anything that was in front of me that night. But it was pizza that was...
Oh, I'm so jealous.
That was the one on the Holy Grail.
I'm back on the pizza train now. Don't worry.
I mean, what's life without pizza? Well,
exactly.
To you both, I seriously commend you from the bottom of my heart. Anyone that has had to dial that number and whomever's showing up at that door, you're seeing people in their worst days of their lives or in a moment that they thought they would never have to face. And truthfully, I am just so thankful to have people like you, sincerely. I'm sure you can feel that. And I'm sure that many people as well feel the exact same way, even if they don't realize it in the moment. It is such a level of humanity. You give so much of yourselves. And especially over the last couple of years, I cannot have imagined walking in your shoes. So huge, huge thank you. And I hope you've just had so much fun going through this journey and party it up at all the celebrations because you deserve every single moment of them. And the Hall of Flame calendar, where can we buy them?
Online, they're $25.
It's going to amazing causes in our community. So thank you so much.
No, thank you for having us. This has been wonderful.
You've just listened to All Things Fitness and Wellness, the Industry Series. This episode was brought to you by Fitness World. Your fitness, your way. New episodes of the Industry Series drop every Monday and the Celebrity Series every Wednesday. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe so you never miss out on hearing from industry thought leaders and influencers. We are on a mission to help everyone live a life fit and well.